Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, it's morning here in New York. It's 7:40 in the morning. Jai Opetaia just knocked out David Nyika. A lot of us expected that to happen, but I actually thought Nyika had a decent shot if he was able to stretch out the rounds and make it to the second half where we seen Jai tire out a little bit. Nyika was a guy that I saw for the first time when he fought against I forgot the opponent, but it was on the undercard of Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk, the first fight. So once I heard he was the replacement, I started looking at some of his fights and a history between these two. Being that he's from New Zealand, I figured they had some sort of history, probably sparring each other, which they have spoken about. And I watched his most recent fight against Tommy Carpenter, who's been around, a veteran out in well, he was a guy that's been around fighting at light heavy, and David recently had stopped him. So I watched those last couple fights, and I said, if this guy, what I thought he was a lot better than Jordan Thompson. I know he was a 6'6" guy like him, but I figured he would bring a lot more to the table against Jai, especially because they had experience sparring each other. And it really didn't matter. Jai is very, very powerful, very explosive, man, and he stops him in the fourth round. Um, Jai was winning the fight up until that point. I think Nika had a couple of moments. He landed a couple of shots, especially at the end, the final seconds of the second round, where he actually buzzed Jai a little bit. Had him shaky off a good shot a little bit in the end of that second round. But even that round, I gave the Jai still because Jai was winning the whole round. Um, but again, this is a replacement opponent. Uh, Jai has continued to just dominate everybody outside of Marius Breedis. He's continued to just dominate every single cruiserweight he's been in there, been in the ring with. And Zerto Ramirez is the only fight that I really want to see at this point. I'm not really sure what's going on with the WBC title over there, but they just need to put that on a line whenever Zerto and Jai meet. Excuse me. Jai and Zerto are the only two fights, or the only fight that needs to happen at cruiserweight at this point. And I actually still believe that it's a 50-50 fight. Um, Jai has been looking like he's the best cruiser, but I'm not gonna crown him until he actually wins. You know, Zerto recently beat Chris Billum Smith. The fight that I thought he would stop Billum the way that fight was going, but Billum was tough and he took a beating in that fight. Zerto, I think, is tricky. He's pretty crafty. He's a good counter puncher. He's a solid puncher, and he has a much better inside game than Jai does. And I think he has a shot. Again, I think Jai is a monster, but just like I thought with this fight here, I'm like, listen, if you could survive, you could weather the storm in the first half of the fight, and just keep the volume and the pressure going, you could have a chance of beating this guy. I think Jai is probably the best, but I still think he's beatable. You know what I mean? I still think he exerts a lot of energy with his style, that bouncing, um, and he puts a lot of power into all of his punches. And um, I think he's beatable. But I'm not sure if anyone at Cruiser could beat him. But I think Zerto has the best shot. You know, um, and that's the way I have it. The knockout was crazy, by the way. I didn't even talk about how brutal that knockout is. Listen, this knockout happened in 2024. It would have definitely at least been the top 10 knockouts of the year. So to start out the year like that, I believe this is the first card of the year. And this card started very, very early. I mean, I think I woke up like at 2 in the morning, and the preliminary fights were already on YouTube. So I wasn't gonna do the full card because it's overnight here, but you know, I was thinking about jumping on last minute and just going live. But yeah, that knockout was a great year, a great way to kick off the year. It was a great knockout. I just was a little concerned about David Nyika. I didn't jump up and down because I was a little bit concerned about Nyika because when he was laying on the ground and not moving for a while, I got a little bit like nervous. Like, you know, is this dude okay? Because a knockout. Listen, he was already out on his feet, and then there was an additional punch that put him down. But he was hurt really really bad. You know what I mean? Not a bad fighter, just doesn't have the experience. Just didn't have it. You know, doesn't matter what they did in sparring or whatever. He just didn't have the experience. You know, and execution. And I think he needed to be a little bit more physical, a little bit more tougher. And that's part of the reason why I think Zerto does have a shot because he's just not gonna let Jai just beat up on him like that, you know, without throwing something back. Zerto has a lot of experience, so that's why I'm curious to see who's gonna win that fight. I can't wait to see that fight. But those two are definitely the best two cruiserweights in the division in my opinion right now, and that's the fight that needs to happen. All right. So yeah. Anyway. Just be on the lookout for more content, man. And I'll see you guys real soon on the next video. Peace.